Hey guys, what's going on? Nick Bland here. I've done very well as a freelance marketer, and I've been able to make a lot of money and make my clients a lot of money. And that's why I make these videos, to be able to help you in your own career, whether you're just starting out or whether you've been doing it for quite a while. I can help you to grow your own freelancing business to make money as a freelance marketer. So that's what these videos are for. If you're interested in that, go ahead and subscribe. And in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about how freelance marketing can create freedom for your own life. Okay, so the first way, and the way that most people are generally looking for whenever they come to it, is freedom in your finances, right? To be able to make enough money to live off of, to be able to retire one day, or maybe even retire very early, or even to make a lot of money and not have to work a whole lot, right? So these things are all kind of tied together. For me, I had a bunch of debt after going to college for marketing for many years, and I still didn't know how to do marketing well. So for me, whenever I got to pay off all that debt that I had from my freelance money, that was a big thing for me. And to have zero debt, I don't owe anything to anybody, and I'm just completely free in that way. That was, a very awesome thing for me. Also to be able to pay off cards, like now if I buy a car, I pay cash for it. And I don't want any payments. I don't want to pay interest on any of this stuff. I just pay for it, And having the ability to do that kind of thing is really cool. It's just freedom. You don't have these obligations. You don't have these worries about other things or all the things you have to do because you got to be able to pay this or this. It's like you're free. And having that kind of freedom is really cool, right? And it's funny that just from freelancing, I actually, by doing it, got better than I did over 6 years in college. Like, it blows my mind how bad college is, that I paid so much money for that when I could have just done freelance marketing, been way ahead, and got paid to learn instead. So that's something I will continue to rant about forever, because it's so bad. I really hate modern education, the way it works and the way we try to teach people, because it just doesn't work at all. And I was a really good student too, and it just doesn't work. So that's not the issue. So another type of freedom that I love is not just the finances, not just being able to make a lot of money, but how that relates to your time, right? So when you have more time available in your life, it's amazing the things that you can do. So over the past 2 years, really since I moved back, to Texas from, we lived in Romania, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But, when I moved back, I decided I was working too much when I was in Romania. I was making a lot of money, and trust me, like, if you're making $20,000 a month in Romania, you're doing good, right? So, I cut down on some of the work. I accepted a lower pay so that I could, have more time with my family. I have 5 kids now, and I need to be able to spend time with them. I want them to know their daddy. I want them to love me. And I don't want them to go to public school. I want to teach my kids myself. And my wife and I, we teach our kids. I've got a 7-year-old that can read through books better than a lot of teenagers. She's already read several novels. She reads this kind of stuff all the time. A 5-year-old that's just a little bit behind her, and is actually doing better at 5 than her older sister was. And all my kids are reading except for my 1-year-old. And so, they do very well with this stuff. And, we just spending that little bit of time with them, even if it's just 30 minutes a day or whatever, by just spending time personally with them, they get so much more. It's just like I said about, education in college. It's like when you sit down with your kid and you educate them, you teach them this stuff, they get it so much faster. And you don't need to send them to school for 20 years to learn how to read and write and do some math. Like, they can learn that so much better at home and avoid so much of the garbage that they're teaching in school these days. So that's something that I never want to do to my kids, and to have the ability to do that, to be able to spend time with my kids, to not have to send them to school, and for them to be better educated than they would be if they went to public school. That's amazing to me. And that's something that, like, I will forever be grateful to freelancing and to God for that, right? So that's something that I just love about it. But not only that, like, as I've cut back on my hours, and I'm only working with one client right now, I've been able to do a lot more stuff. Like, I've been able to do jujitsu, And, I used to fight professional mixed martial arts like, 10, 12 years ago. And, I had a few pro fights and then, I retired. And so since that time, like I've really wanted to do stuff and to train and all that, but I just haven't been able to, and I've been busy and then moving across the world. But over this past year, probably on average, I go 4 or 5 days a week and, go train for an hour and a half or so a day. And, I've gotten in so much better shape. I feel so much better. And I just have, life is more fun. Like I feel better. I like it more, so that ability to, be able to do things like that and to work and to be able to provide for my family, buy a new house, live and do the things that I want, pursue my own interests, that ability to have that kind of time to do that is just amazing, and even if you accept a lower amount of money to be able to do that, it's totally worth it, right? And when you have more time available, your brain works differently. You're not trying to do all these things really fast. You try to think about better ways to do things, and you try to, and you'll come up with ideas. Your brain works better. And so when you come up with these ideas and you keep trying things, you have time to try and fail and to keep doing that. Whenever you have the time and that luxury available, then you can have much bigger and better results while still doing less. And so that's what, I've been doing over the past 2 years, and that freedom of time has just been amazing for me. Okay. And then the final deal is the type of freedom that I love is freedom of location. And that's one that you get right out of the gate with freelancing. It's not like you have to work towards it or anything like that. When you're freelancing, I've never met in person with one of my clients. Now I take that back because when I first started, I had one client that I didn't get like any of the ways that I teach now, but I actually saw an ad for them in Craigslist, and I replied to it, and actually turned out to be a good business, and ended up working out. But I worked with them for like a year while I was in Spokane, Washington. But aside from that, everyone that I've ever worked with, even companies, I've worked with several companies for 3 or 4 years straight, and I still have never met them in person. Right? I've got one that's practically like my mom, and I work with her, a couple times a week, and I mean she's so much like family to me. This client of mine, and I've still never met her in person. Right? So even when I started working with her, many of my clients, most of my clients even, I was actually living in Romania. So that was a dream of mine. Whenever, it was like 12 years ago, I went on a mission trip to Romania, and I started learning the language, and, I had an amazing time there, and, good things happened. So then several years later, I actually got the chance to move there. I had several trips between then. But, because of freelancing, I had enough money, I had enough ability to, I had the ability to go and live in Romania and still work with the clients that I already had from, that I'd gotten while I was living in America. And, they stayed with me, even though I was moving to Romania. I kept the same clients, and I still, made money. And not only that, when I got there to Romania with my wife, and actually a pregnant wife and 2 kids, I started making a lot more money. I started getting new clients when I got there. And, within the first couple of months of being there, it may have been within the first 2 months, I think, the second month of being there, I had my first $10,000 month. And, to be able to live in another country far away where you don't have like a high cost of living unless you want to live, in luxury, then it's an amazing thing to be able to have that kind of money, to be able to live wherever you want, and provide for your family, and be able to give to others, and all this kind of stuff. So, from all those things, and then even being able to move back to Texas, and, even while I was in Romania, we got to come back to Texas. We did that 3 times in the 3 years. So basically we came back for 1 trip a year for 3 years straight that we lived there. And, it's just amazing. Like, I would never have thought that I would be doing anything like that in my life when I was a teenager, or even in my 20s. Like, I didn't think that would happen. But once I started freelancing, so many possibilities opened up. And it can be a little bit difficult at the beginning, and it takes some courage, and it takes being willing to do things that you haven't done before. But as long as you can deal with that and aren't afraid, and you'll go forward, then the possibilities are limitless. So I encourage you, if you're not freelancing, as a marketer, and it's very important to do freelance marketing. There are other kinds of freelancing you can do that will not help you. I actually had a friend in Spokane, and they had a freelancing job before I did. And so I went over there. That's when I first met them, and they were doing some kind of customer support job, or I can't remember if it was customer support or data entry. But if they were not typing on their keyboard and doing something, I think it was data entry, because that was the deal. If they weren't typing on their keyboard, then they weren't getting paid. So it's like measuring how long they're actually active and sitting at their keyboard and hitting stuff. And if they weren't doing that, then they weren't getting paid. And so, even if they stepped away to the bathroom for a couple of seconds, now she's not getting paid. And, I mean, that seems a lot more like slavery to me. And as a marketer, you don't have that issue. You get to help businesses, and the more you're able to help them grow, the more money you're able to make them, the happier and the more they'll be willing to pay you. And if the company you're currently working for isn't willing to do that, there are many, many, many other companies that are willing to do that. So freelancing as a marketer is key to this. So I hope this video helps you. I've got a free ebook you can download. It's called 7 Reasons Freelancing is the Fastest Way to Make 100K Online. And if you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe. If it's helped you at all, please comment below anything that you learned from it, any other questions you'd have for me to answer. I'd love to answer those questions and help you out on your journey. And thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video.